The sky above the floating isles of Dracoria was a kaleidoscope of shifting hues, a testament to the planet's volatile atmosphere. Amid the levitating spires of crystalline towers, the royal palace hovered like a jewel suspended in the air, its energy shields humming faintly in the dying light. Within its vast halls, panic rippled through the assembled dragons, their elongated forms shimmering with iridescent scales, eyes wide with fear. At the heart of the turmoil lay Dragon Lady Seraphina, the matriarch whose strength had held their lineage unbroken for centuries. She was pale, her usually lustrous scales dulled, wounds etched into her flesh from a recent interstellar skirmish. Every breath she drew was shallow, a fragile rhythm threatening to cease entirely. Prince Kael Dracos knelt beside her, his armored hands hovering over her still form. His amber eyes, usually steady with noble resolve, flickered with desperation. "Hold on, mother," he murmured, voice rough with tension. "We will find a way." The palace guards, led by Commander Theric, lined the perimeter, their postures taut, claws digging into the polished floor. They exchanged wary glances, the unspoken question clear. Could anyone, dragon or human, reverse the damage that had nearly claimed their sovereign? Soren, the royal advisor, tall and calm despite the chaos, stepped forward, his fingers tracing intricate patterns in the air as he accessed a holographic interface. "The biostasis chambers are insufficient," he stated evenly. "Even with full energy infusion, her regenerative systems are failing. If we do not act, she will not survive the night." His words drew a collective shudder. Theric's tail flicked sharply. He had served under Seraphina for decades and knew her resilience was legendary. To witness such frailty was almost sacrilege. Far below, beyond the palace's protective barriers, a human starship mechanic named Rylan Jace crouched beside a sputtering hovercraft engine. He was coated in grease and grime, his brown hair perpetually tangled from hours of work, and his hands bore the calluses of relentless labor. Humans were not unknown in Dracoria, but their presence was rare, often dismissed by the dragons as primitive and inefficient. Yet Rylan's mind worked in ways the dragons could scarcely comprehend. Every circuit, every conduit, spoke to him like a puzzle demanding resolution. When the engine emitted another shrill whine, he sighed and adjusted a wiring module, unaware that his actions were guiding him toward a destiny he had never imagined. The palace sensors detected his presence almost immediately. A low alarm vibrated through the halls, drawing Kael's gaze toward the human outsider. "A human," he barked, rising swiftly, wings bristling with tension. "Here?
Now."
Theric stepped forward, claws glinting. "Prince, he is too close. Shall we?" Kael shook his head sharply. There was a hesitation, a whisper of hope that perhaps this human, this outsider, might serve a purpose no dragon could. Rylan's boots clattered against the metallic floor as he navigated the palace corridors, eyes scanning unfamiliar surroundings. He had come seeking a malfunctioning propulsion module but had stumbled into a world that seemed more myth than machine. The corridors were lined with glowing glyphs, each pulsing in response to the life energy within. And there, at the end of the hall, lay Seraphina, her form framed by a halo of failing bioluminescent energy. Compelled by instinct rather than comprehension, Rylan approached. The dragons recoiled instinctively, sensing the human's proximity, yet there was no aggression in his movements, only curiosity and a strange calm that seemed to radiate outward. Kael stepped between them, wings outstretched. "Stay back," he ordered, voice firm yet edged with uncertainty. "Do you understand the danger of your presence?" Rylan paused, glancing at the injured matriarch. I just want to help," he admitted, though he did not fully understand why. His hands hovered near her, trembling slightly, unsure whether his touch could do anything at all. The room held its collective breath. Even Theric, whose loyalty was ironclad, found himself stepping back, unsure if this fragile human could either harm or heal. Then, almost imperceptibly, Rylan's fingers brushed against the dragon lady's wrist as he leaned forward to examine a faint energy pulse emanating from her chest. A shiver of light raced along her veins, subtle yet undeniable. Kael's eyes widened, disbelief etched across his features. Soren's calm composure faltered for a fraction of a second as he observed the reaction. Seraphina's shallow breaths deepened minutely, her eyelids fluttering as if recognizing the touch. The palace seemed to exhale collectively. The dragons whispered among themselves, shock and wonder intertwining. Therek's stance softened imperceptibly, uncertainty warring with caution. Kael's knuckles whitened around his gauntlets. He had faced countless enemies, seen wars rage across the skies, yet nothing prepared him for the miracle unfolding before him. Rylan straightened slightly, confused and alarmed. Did I just? His words faltered. There was no immediate explanation, no technical manual for this. The palace's advanced medical arrays hummed and blinked, unable to account for the sudden regenerative flare spreading through Seraphina's body. In that suspended moment, a fragile hope ignited. The royal family, long accustomed to their own strength, faced the undeniable possibility that this human, this outsider, might be the key to survival. Kael's gaze met Rylan's, a silent question passing between them. Could he be trusted? And more importantly, had the course of their history just shifted because of the simplest, most human gesture, a touch? The air shimmered with tension, and yet, beneath it, a current of possibility ran like a quiet river. The palace, the dragons, the human, each would soon discover that the universe held secrets far beyond pride, bloodline, or prejudice. And the night was only just beginning. The faint glow along Seraphina's veins spread, a subtle radiance that rippled across the scales of her chest. Her breathing, once fragile and intermittent, grew steadier with each pulse, a rhythm almost imperceptible yet undeniably stronger. The dragons in the room drew back instinctively, their golden eyes wide with awe and disbelief. Prince Kael Dracos clenched his fists at his sides, uncertainty battling with cautious hope. "It cannot be," he muttered, voice rough. How is this possible?" Commander Therek's massive frame remained tense, claws digging into the polished floor. "A human," he growled under his breath, disbelief etched into every line of his scaled features. He had seen the ravages of interstellar war, witnessed the most advanced of healing technologies, yet nothing he had known could account for this sudden surge of life. Soren, standing slightly behind the prince, observed quietly, his expression calm but intense. His mind raced through possible explanations, each one more improbable than the last. "The energy signature is unusual," Soren finally said, fingers brushing against the holographic interface. "It is neither dragon nor purely mechanical. There is an organic resonance, a latent biofield, that this human possesses. It is activating her regenerative systems." The words caused a ripple of murmurs among the attending dragons. Kael's eyes narrowed. "You mean to say," he asked carefully, "that this outsider is saving my mother? That a human touch?" Rylan Jace, standing stiffly at the edge of the chamber, felt a flush of anxiety creep over him. His hands hovered uncertainly near Seraphina's arm, his every instinct screaming caution. I didn't mean to," he stammered. "I was just trying to help. I don't know what's happening." Yet the faint warmth from his touch, the subtle thrum of energy, could not be ignored. Even in his own human mind, he felt the strange connection, a bridge of life that no machine or medicine could replicate. Kael's wings twitched, bristling with a mixture of tension and curiosity. "Stay close, but no sudden movements," he ordered Therek. His gaze never left Rylan. "We cannot afford to risk this. If you do anything wrong..." The words hung in the air unfinished, because the impossible was unfolding in real time before them. The glow intensified along Seraphina's torso, her eyelids fluttering. She murmured softly, an unintelligible hum vibrating through the chamber. Even Therek, unaccustomed to witnessing weakness, felt a shiver of wonder. "It's as if her body recognizes him," he muttered to Soren. "No dragon alive would respond this way to a human." Soren's fingers danced across the interface, analyzing energy readings and life metrics in rapid succession. Humans, he said slowly, more to himself than to anyone else, have adapted in ways we never suspected. Their regenerative capacity is subtle, but incredibly resilient. This human, he is catalyzing a process even our most advanced technology cannot initiate. The weight of his words sank into the room. Kael's jaw tightened. So we rely on him, he said reluctantly, glancing at Rylan with a mix of skepticism and reluctant hope. A human, a fragile outsider, may hold the key to her survival. He inhaled sharply, wings folding tightly against his back. And yet, if this fails, his voice trailed off, the unspoken consequences hanging like a shadow over the chamber. Rylan took a tentative step closer, instincts urging him forward even as uncertainty rooted him to the floor. I think, if I focus, maybe I can help more, he said quietly. I don't understand why, but something about her, it's like I can feel the damage, and it wants to mend. The dragons recoiled slightly at the strange, tentative assertion. Kael's eyes widened. Humans did not possess magic, yet the effect was undeniable. A sudden flicker of motion drew everyone's attention. Seraphina's eyes, glowing faintly with residual energy, opened. They were amber, fierce yet softened by vulnerability, and they fixed upon Rylan with a gaze that seemed to pierce beyond appearances. The room fell silent. Kael's heart thudded heavily. Never before had he seen his mother acknowledge a human so directly. You, she whispered, voice weak but unmistakably aware. You touch life. Her scales shimmered with renewed vibrancy as the pulse of healing strengthened. The dragons around her stifled gasps. Commander Therek's claws slackened, and even the stoic Soren allowed a flicker of astonishment to show. Kael swallowed, stepping closer. Mother, he's only a human, he said softly, almost defensively. Yet, his voice faltered, caught between disbelief and awe. He had spent his life learning to protect, to command, to act decisively in battle. Now, confronted with a truth that defied everything he had known, he could do nothing but watch. Rylan's brow furrowed as he studied the intricate patterns of glowing veins and soft tissue that now responded to his touch. I don't know how, but it's working, he admitted. The words carried a weight of humility and wonder. Something in her wants to heal. I just helped it along. The chamber held its breath as Seraphina's chest rose more evenly with each inhale. The shimmer of her scales spread outward, filling the room with an ethereal glow. Kael's wings flexed, instinctively protective, yet he did not intervene. He could see the potential, the fragile hope that hung between human and dragon alike. Therek exhaled slowly, tension leaving his frame in measured increments. It seems, he began, voice low and grudgingly respectful, that humans are not as helpless as we assumed. Soren nodded, eyes fixed on the readings, recognizing the profound implications. The ripple effect of this human's presence could alter everything they thought they knew about life, biology, and interspecies dynamics. For the first time in many long hours, the royal palace seemed still, suspended in a rare moment of fragile equilibrium. Rylan, Kael, Therek, and Soren each understood, in different ways, that the events unfolding were more than a simple act of healing. They were witnessing the convergence of worlds, the meeting of species whose potential had long been underestimated. Kael finally met Rylan's gaze fully, his amber eyes unreadable yet searching. You saved her, at least for now, he said softly. But I need to know, can we trust you? Can you do this again? Rylan hesitated, feeling the weight of their hope resting upon his shoulders.
I don't know, he admitted.
But I'll try. I want to help. His words were simple, human, yet filled with a quiet courage that resonated more deeply than any armor or weapon. The room fell into a tense silence, the glow from Seraphina bathing the assembled figures in light. Outside, the world of floating isles and shimmering skies awaited, indifferent yet ready for what would come next. The first step toward an uneasy alliance had been taken, and the night still held unknown challenges that no dragon, no matter how powerful, could face alone. The chamber remained bathed in the soft, pulsing glow of Seraphina's scales, now slowly regaining their former brilliance. Prince Kael Dracos paced near the edge of the room, wings brushing the walls with each tense movement. His amber eyes, usually controlled and measured, flickered with a combination of curiosity and unease. The fact that a human had managed to catalyze his mother's recovery was an unsettling thought, one that both thrilled and alarmed him. Commander Theric lingered near the doorway, claws crossed, muscles coiled like a predator ready for any sudden threat. Even Soren, ever the observer, allowed a faint spark of excitement to show in his usually impassive gaze. Rylan stood beside Seraphina, hands hovering just above her chest as he concentrated, attempting to sense the flow of energy he could now feel coursing through her body. Every beat of her heart, every subtle pulse of life, seemed to resonate with something deep within him, an instinct older than any technology he had ever repaired. "I think I understand," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. "It's not magic, it's biological. Something about humans and dragons, our energies align, at least in some way." Kael's expression hardened, brows knitting together. "Our kind has studied interstellar species for centuries," he said, voice low, careful. "Yet none of our medical arrays, none of our alchemists, could achieve what you've done. Tell me, human, how do you explain this?" His wings flexed slightly, betraying the tension behind his controlled demeanor. Rylan shook his head, uncertainty flickering across his features. "I don't know. I just react. My body senses where the damage is, and it wants to mend. I don't fully understand it, but it works." His honesty carried a strange weight, a mix of humility and power that the dragons found difficult to ignore. Theric snorted softly, though it lacked its usual derision. "Instinctive? Dangerous," he muttered. "And yet, effective." Kael's gaze shifted between the human and his mother. "If this is true," he said slowly, "then humans are far more capable than we've been taught to believe. We've dismissed them as weak, transient, irrelevant, yet here stands proof to the contrary." Soren nodded, his fingers tracing new holographic patterns as he calculated energy flow and potential outcomes.
"There is a synergy," he said.
"A resonance between human biofields and dragon physiology. Rare, possibly unique, but potent. If harnessed correctly, humans may prove invaluable to our survival in ways we never anticipated." Theric's claws flexed against the floor. "We are warriors," he growled, voice low. "We trust in strength, in skill, in loyalty. And yet here a human, unarmed, unarmored, holds the fate of our queen in his hands." His eyes narrowed. "It is unsettling, dangerous, and yet undeniable." Rylan exhaled, feeling the weight of their collective gaze upon him. He had never sought attention or power. His life had been one of machines, tools, and solitude. Yet now he understood that this world, the dragons, their lineage, relied on his presence in ways he could barely comprehend. He took a cautious step closer, watching Seraphina's chest rise and fall with increasing steadiness. "I don't want to control it," he said softly. "I just want to help." Kael's amber eyes softened slightly, though caution remained. "Then you will help under our supervision. We cannot risk misuse, whether intentional or accidental." His wings folded, tension still visible in the subtle flex of muscle beneath scales. "You will remain close, and I will observe. If this process destabilizes, we will intervene." The human nodded, gratitude and anxiety mixing in equal measure. Theric, still wary, stepped closer, examining Rylan with the meticulous scrutiny of a warrior assessing a potential ally. "You may yet be more than a tool," he muttered, almost to himself. "Perhaps even a comrade." The word carried weight, a cautious recognition of a human's value beyond expectation. Soren leaned closer to the energy interface, eyes reflecting the pulsing light of Seraphina's slowly regenerating form. "This is unprecedented," he murmured. "A biological amplification, a resonance effect that bridges species. If others were aware, they would seek to exploit it. Allies or enemies, it matters little. Humans, your existence, may redefine interstellar hierarchies. Kael's gaze returned to Rylan. Then you understand the implications of your presence here. You are not merely a mechanic, not merely a visitor. You are now part of this family's fate, whether you choose it or not. His voice carried authority tempered by an unexpected respect. And I will admit, I did not expect to say that to a human. Ryland's shoulders squared, resolve hardening despite his inherent humility. I will do what I can, he said firmly. I don't know everything, but I'll try. For her.
For all of you.
His words were simple, yet in them was a clarity and determination that resonated beyond language or species. Seraphina stirred again, more strongly this time, her gaze fixing on Rylan with unmistakable awareness. You human, she whispered, voice faint but steady. You're touched, it gives life. Her scales shimmered, radiance spreading outward, and a collective breath was released throughout the chamber. Even Theric allowed a flicker of respect to show in his posture. Kael exhaled slowly, tension easing just enough to allow cautious optimism. Then let us see this through, he said.
Together.
For her, and for what comes next. Soren's analytical mind whirred with possibilities, cataloging the potential of human-dragon collaboration. The first step toward a fragile alliance had been taken, but the future remained uncertain, full of dangers and opportunities alike. Outside, the skies of Dracoria shifted, clouds swirling over the floating isles in hues of crimson and violet. The night was alive with silent possibilities, a prelude to the challenges awaiting beyond the palace walls. Within, the human and the dragon stood together, bound by circumstance, discovery, and a fragile trust that would soon be tested. And in that quiet chamber, the subtle hum of life and energy hinted at a truth none could deny. Humanity, underestimated for centuries, possessed a strength not measured in claws or firepower, but in resilience, ingenuity, and a latent energy that could alter the course of worlds. The chamber had settled into a fragile calm, the glow from Seraphina's scales now steady and vibrant. She sat upright, every movement deliberate, strength returning to her limbs, and eyes bright with awareness. The dragons around her, usually imposing and confident, now lingered in quiet reverence. Prince Kael Dracos, wings folded but tense, observed the subtle rise and fall of her chest with a mixture of awe and relief. Commander Theric, ever vigilant, remained near the door, yet even he seemed lighter, the sharp edge of worry softened by what had just occurred. Seraphina's gaze swept over the assembled figures, settling finally on Rylan. You, she said, voice firm though tinged with warmth. Human, you have given me life when death hovered close. Few beings are capable of this. You have changed the course of our family's history. Her words reverberated through the chamber, silence falling like a tangible presence. Kael's jaw tightened. He had expected gratitude, perhaps even respect, but to hear his mother acknowledge a human in such a way was unprecedented. Ryland shifted uneasily. I didn't know I could do this, he admitted. I only reacted. I wanted to help. That's all. His words were simple, his humility unmistakable. Yet even the dragons could sense the quiet strength behind them, a courage that was entirely human, entirely his own. Kael stepped closer, his amber eyes still wary but thoughtful. You have proven yourself, he said. Not through combat, nor through fire, nor through title. You have proven it through action, through instinct, and a will that cannot be measured by our usual standards. His wings flexed once, signaling an acknowledgement that carried more weight than words alone. Theric's gaze softened slightly, a grudging respect shining through the ever-present tension in his posture. Soren, fingers tracing the edge of the holographic interface, looked up from his calculations. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. If humans are capable of such bioresonance with dragons, the implications extend beyond a single life. Alliances, defenses, even strategies in interstellar conflict may shift. Rylan, your presence here is no accident. It is, perhaps, a necessity. His tone was measured, but the weight of his observation was undeniable. Seraphina rose fully, her form now radiant and commanding once more. She moved toward Rylan, placing a scaled hand lightly on his shoulder, a gesture of acknowledgement that shook the room with significance. "You are not merely a human among dragons," she said. "You are a bridge. Your kind, underestimated, overlooked, yet resilient beyond measure, may become our allies against threats we cannot yet perceive." Kael's eyes flickered, absorbing the magnitude of her declaration. Rylan's heart pounded, caught between pride, apprehension, and disbelief. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," he admitted. "I've spent my life fixing machines, not guiding dynasties." His gaze met Kael's, and for the first time, he sensed a kinship, a shared understanding of responsibility and duty. "But I'll try," he said, voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "I'll do what I can." Kael exhaled slowly, wings flexing once more. "Then you will remain with us," he said. "Not as a servant, not as an observer, but as an ally. There will be dangers, challenges we cannot yet foresee, and your abilities, your humanity, will be a weapon, a shield, and a guide." Therek's stance shifted, approval tempered by caution. "And should you falter," he said, voice low, "we will ensure no harm comes to her, or to you." Soren's eyes gleamed with quiet calculation. Interstellar politics, rival factions, cosmic threats, all of these may be influenced by what we have witnessed tonight. Humans, underestimated for centuries, may now be our most valuable resource. His words drew nods from Kael, and even a subtle acknowledgement from Therek. Rylan felt the weight of destiny settle upon his shoulders, but he did not shrink from it. He had been tested, and for the first time, he realized that his instincts, his ingenuity, and his resilience were as vital as any weapon or spell. Outside the palace, the skies of Dracoria shimmered with the glow of distant stars, each one a silent witness to the fragile alliance forming within the chamber. The floating isles, suspended in a balance of gravity and energy, mirrored the tenuous equilibrium between human and dragon. Every pulse of light, every shimmer in the wind, seemed to echo the promise of something new, something neither species could achieve alone. Seraphina turned to Kael, her gaze sharp yet approving. "Prepare the council," she said. "They must understand what has transpired and what this human represents. Our future may depend on it." Kael inclined his head, his thoughts racing through strategy, diplomacy, and the cautious integration of a species previously dismissed as inconsequential. Therek remained vigilant, but even he allowed a faint trace of hope to enter his measured demeanor. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but unpredictability sometimes carried the edge of innovation, resilience, and courage that dragons could scarcely replicate. Soren began assembling energy projections, simulations, and data models, all attempting to quantify what could not yet be fully measured, the latent potential of humanity intertwined with dragonkind. Rylan, still standing beside Seraphina, felt a shift within himself. No longer just a mechanic, no longer merely an observer, he had become part of something larger, a living testament to the unanticipated strength of humanity. And though he did not yet know the full scope of what lay ahead, he understood one undeniable truth: his life, his abilities, and his instincts mattered in ways he could never have imagined. Kael finally spoke, voice low but resolute. "The universe is larger than we have ever known, and it seems it has chosen humans to remind us of the strength in humility, ingenuity, and courage." His gaze met Rylan's once more. "Together, we will face whatever comes." The room fell into a contemplative silence, the glow of life from Seraphina illuminating four figures, human and dragons alike, bound by circumstance, trust, and the fragile hope of what might come. Beyond the palace walls, the cosmos awaited, indifferent yet full of possibilities. In that quiet, suspended moment, the first chapter of a new alliance was written, and the night whispered of challenges, discoveries, and the enduring power of humanity amidst the stars.